All right, we just finished up. I just finished up streaming. I have played a degenerate amount of beta this week, testing all of the tanks, but more or less Brewmaster. And I kind of want to just give an update on how the tank is performing, how it's playing, some of the bugs, and just kind of nerd out for about 10 minutes. The main reason, or the main thing that prompted this video is actually people in stream chat or like in my Twitch chat keep coming in and asking me, is Brewmaster good? Is Brewmaster strong? I saw that X content creator ranked it as S tier. Is this true? The biggest one that I keep seeing is Kira. Like Kira rated it really, really, really high. And without beating around the bush, yes, Kira obviously has a great assessment and a great sense of these kind of things. But yes, Brewmaster is doing very, very well. I'm going to talk about some of the strengths in this video, a couple of their weaknesses, and just kind of nerd out. Yeah, so let's kind of get into it. So in the last round of, or in the most recent build, so it's been about 6 days since we got a build or so, give or take, when this video comes out, we had 0 changes to the Brewmaster like talents, no buffs, no nerfs, nothing. Just it is what it is. Right now, Master of Harmony is still fairly unplayable. It's not that it doesn't play well, it just does significantly less damage. It's really difficult to hold threat on, and the major reasoning for this is because of the way that the damage is allocated. And so instead of being like very heavy centralized around your Keg Smash and your Breath of Fire, like Shado-pan is, it is more or less through like dots, through Harmonic Surge, slash your Coalesce Vitality, which now gets applied via Keg Smash and will spread around as you deal damage. Now, the issue with this is it's just not tuned high enough. We lost the 20% damage amp that the Vitality actually applied to mobs, so you're just doing 20% less damage pretty much, and you actually consistently overcap on potential energy, and the only real good way to dispel of these potential energy or Harmonic Surge stacks is by not only spamming Tiger Palm, but spamming Vivify, which kind of ruins the rotation. With consistent resets or procs of your Apex talent, it's also having this, like, there's just a lot of friction. So basically, Master of Harmony right now is just terrible. We haven't seen changes yet. We're hoping for changes in a future build. But in relation to Shado-pan, it is an incredibly powerful tank. Just in case you haven't been keeping up, the major rework to Shado-pan is that the flurry strikes are no longer contingent on your energy expenditure. You now are basically going to stack up flurry strikes based on your auto attacks. So one-handed strikes will generate 1 to 2. If it crits, it's 2. If it doesn't crit, it's 1. If you're if you're using a polearm, it's always 2 stacks of flurry strikes. And if you crit with your auto attack, it's 4. And so crit is being heavily incentivized per usual, obviously, like it's always been crits. And so, a common question I keep getting asked is it better to dual wield or like you wield a polearm? Unfortunately, it's ultimately going to come down to like Sims. Now, polearms are more consistent with your stack accumulation. You can high roll or low roll while dual wielding. So I would recommend still using a polearm, but again, Sims might say otherwise. You can also, again, kind of high RNG. Coming back to the flurry strikes though, as you auto attack a mob, you're going to gain charges and then they get expelled when you hit Keg Smash. So there's the flurry strikes. And then again, as we sit here in combat, I just crit, so I got 4. My next auto attack crit again, so I got 8. That was a regular hit, so I got 2, so now I'm up to 10. And flurry strikes flurry strike stacks can go all the way up to 30. Now, chances are you're never going to be sitting on this many flurry strike charges, and you're never going to really want to bake them for a big damage burst, because that means you're going to have to basically stop your entire rotation, because your whole rotation is contingent on your ability to spam or at least cast Keg Smash as often as possible. So what is making Brewmaster really strong right now? So there's a couple of things that is making it extremely competitive. Its overall damage done is very high. It has this nice scaling into larger pulls with Breath of Fire and Keg Smash being your main damage source. Flurry Strikes also does a lot of damage to all the targets around. So every time you see me Keg Smash here, you're going to see an array of different damaging things hit these other mobs next to it, which is really nice. So you have this kind of consistent damage output all of the time. With proper gameplay and management of your brews as well, you're able to constantly get resets on said Keg Smash. This is actually coming from our Apex talent, which means whenever we Celestial Brew or Fortifying Brew, we have a guaranteed reset of Keg Smash. So I'm going to Keg Smash once, Keg Smash twice. When I hit Celestial Brew, it resets this. So you are now basically just spamming kegs, which some people like, some people don't like. Now, the biggest complaint that I've been hearing, and I tend to agree with, although I do admit that the grievances that I think people are feeling are not necessarily what's best for the game, I do think the simplification of the class is really healthy. It's going to open up accessibility to a lot of different players who want to try brew and maybe have always been kind of like put off based on its complexity, or it's reliant on another healer or a healer, I guess. Brewmaster right now has a lot of self-sustain. Its buttons are extremely simplified. You don't really have defensive cooldowns. Fortifying brew, sure. Your Black Ox is more of an offensive than a defensive. And so basically you're kind of in a state where you're kind of always taking damage, but you're always healing back the damage you're taking through different, basically through your damage, which is kind of a cool play style. Admittedly, yes, it is very boring, and it can become pretty mind numbing after a few dungeons or maybe a raid progression. But I think for new players and more novice players, I think Brewmaster is a lot more approachable as a tank, which I just again think is better for the community as a whole. Versus someone like me who's an elitist douche who just wants the game to be hard because I like hard classes. Um, Now there are still a couple of bugs with the class that I kind of want to just briefly mention. So they did fix the blackout combo bug. There was a bug that was causing Breath of Fire to overperform because basically how it was working is if you were playing blackout combo, you would gain the blackout combo buff every time you blackout kick, and your Breath of Fire was still getting a 50% damage amp from blackout combo, but it wasn't consuming the buff. And so basically what was happening is Breath of Fire, you were able to kind of like double dip on your blackout combo. And so if you changed your rotation slightly, and instead of going into blackout kick Tiger Palm or blackout kick Tiger Smash, Tiger Smash, Tiger Palm or Keg Smash, basically what ends up happening is you would go like keg into blackout kick into breath. It would do 50% more damage, but you would still maintain the buff. And then you would maybe Tiger Pump for damage or Keg Smash for cooldown reduction on Purifying Brew, leading into more Keg Smashes because of your Apex talent. So they have fixed that bug, thank God. I was definitely exploiting it to do a lot more damage than I should have been doing, but it is what it is. Now, a couple things that are still bugged. Walk with the Ox, from my testing, it seems like regardless of how many points you put into here, it is doing the same amount of damage. So I can try to show this off. It's going to be funny when they fixed it or something. But I was testing this earlier today on stream. If I walk right on over here and I just start like hitting this guy with Tiger Palm, eventually I'm going to get a cow proc, eventually. And when that happens, we'll see what that number ends up being. One day. One day we'll get it. So right there, you see that it hit for a 12K non-crit, and that was with 2 points. And you can see that my tooltip actually says 16,000, so I'm not sure why it hit for 12 unless it's like being reduced by armor or something. But for example, now let's move over to just 1, and this should in theory double the damage, or this should half the damage. So it should only hit for 6K now if it's working as intended. But as I hit Tiger Palm here, eventually we will get a little cow dash. There it is, and it hits for 12K. So this is one of the bugged talents that's not working. I don't know if we're doing more damage or less damage. Best case scenario, we're doing less damage with it, meaning that it should get, when it gets fixed, we will actually be bumped up. Worst case scenario is that we're doing more damage with it, and so it's going to be a nerf when they eventually fix this. So because of this, I've only been running 1 point instead of 2, just because the damage isn't consistent. So they fixed the blackout combo bug. They have walk with the ox though is still bugged. Empty the cellar is the last major bug that I kind of want to mention. This talent still will try to pull mobs that it's not in combat with over mobs that you are in combat with. This has been happening a ton on beta. It's happening with shamans right now. It's happening with priests. I've heard reports that it's happening with paladin, even though I haven't experienced that, specifically protection paladin. Basically, a lot of like different pet things are just like not super great. Shaman, it's like their totems are just pulling. Warlock pets also seem to be pulling when they're playing demonology. I don't know what pet it is. I think it's maybe from one of their hero talents, but it's like randomly just pulling other mobs, and it actually gets really frustrating. But basically, this talent, after you exploding keg, you can actually hit it again, and it's going to throw out a bunch of kegs. But if you notice when I hit it here, it's actually going to start sending them all the way over there, hitting random enemies. Now, this is a bug I've talked about before. It is still yet to be fixed. It seems like it's a consistent issue with not just Brewmaster, but a lot of buttons or a lot of classes where it's just targeting mobs out of combat versus in combat. So that is some type of flag that they need to probably put onto these types of abilities. Besides that, I don't think there's any like major glaring bugs that I'm aware of. I will do another video probably next week once we get like the next set of notes talking about more of these like talents. I have a lot of issue with our tree currently in its current states. I don't want to rant about it too much here because it's already going on 11 minutes and it's 1 in the morning and I have my first day at my new job tomorrow. So I should probably be in bed, but here I am talking about WoW. Anyways, Brewmaster is in an incredibly strong state right now. It's extremely tanky. Other content creators who have been saying or kind of talking up Brewmaster, they're not just talking out their ass. It is a very, very strong tank. I was on stream today doing 17s all the way up to 19s, and it's a very powerful tank. Feels very good. Big fan. Now, of course, there's caveats with that. The direction isn't exactly where I'd want to take it, and there's a lot of things that I would like to see changed. Threat is still kind of an issue in some cases with Keg Smash, like Splash Radius. Spinning Crane Kick doesn't really have an identity. There's things that I'd like to see addressed in the near future, but for now, we're going to call it here. I'm going to go to bed. Enjoy the video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.